The craziest scene in anime uses just a box cutter and a teacher, and the girl who stabs him. The scene comes from a fairly obscure anime nowadays called Elegant Yokai Apartment Life, where this guy named Yusuke has to live in an apartment with a bunch of yokai because his dorm burned down. It's not a good show, but the ways that it fails are fascinating to me, especially this scene. This is going to sound insane, but here's what actually happens in the show. Obvious spoilers if you ever want to watch it. So there's a girl called Konatsu Yamamoto who's voiced by Rie Kugamiya? What? Alphonse Elric from Fullmetal Alchemist, really? Okay. Anyway, she becomes jealous of the popularity that one of the male teachers gets because she's just not on his wavelength, and she likes this female teacher better and thinks that everybody should be praising that teacher instead. And one of the other girls looks up to Yamamoto and idolizes that teacher as well. So after Yamamoto gets humiliated and everyone gets mad at the female teacher during the cultural festival preparation, this girl decides to handle the situation by stabbing the male teacher with a box cutter. This wasn't even one of your friendly stabbings, you know, like the kids do these days. No, I'm pretty sure she was actively trying to kill him. But that's not the crazy part. Okay, that's a crazy part. That's totally psychotic. But the craziest part for me is that she goes completely unpunished for this. She never gets arrested or thrown in jail or even suspended from school. I don't even think she gets detention. And it's not because she flees the scene and starts a new life as a dock worker in Yokohama. The main character, Yushi, chases her down like 3 doors away from the scene of the crime. Okay, multiple choice time. What do you think Yushi says when he finds this girl who committed attempted murder 5 minutes ago? Is it A, "Hey Stabatha, it's time for jail. I've called the cops and they're gonna come get you," which would be my reaction. B, "No more arts and crafts for you." Or C, they get into a big magical fight and she transforms into a toaster because this is anime. You've probably guessed by now that the answer is D. If you don't knock off the murdering, then I'm gonna wait until the next teacher's meeting and show them this box cutter so that everybody will know that your favorite teacher is a bad influence and try to get her fired. That's his actual plan. Not, I'm calling the police or murder is wrong, but I'm gonna get your favorite teacher fired if you don't snap out of it. You know, while you're out wandering free after your attempted murder. I once saw an anime where a group of kids with psychic powers go on a rafting trip and they get tangled up in a war between groups of sentient, talking mole rats, and that was more realistic than this scene. By the way, I looked up the Wikipedia entry for this show and I am so glad that I did, because the description for the episode right after this one is priceless. So, episode 24, The Storm Before the Storm, is the one where all the slashing takes place. Chiaki, the guy who got stabbed, is in rough shape, and it looks like he's not going to make it. But Yushi uses his magical yokai powers to heal him and saves his life. The very next sentence for the next episode's description is, "The culture fair is going well." I love that. Other than a student trying to murder a teacher, things are going great. Yes, we had to scrub up the puddle of mystery blood in room 204, but at least the takoyaki's good. I say that the blood puddle in that room is a mystery because there is one detail I missed when I first watched the show, and that's that Chiaki, the guy who was stabbed, apparently went into a coma for 5 minutes because he was already anemic before losing a lot of blood. When he came to, he had lost his memory. Not his memory of everything, just his memory of the stabbing, which means the only people who know about it are Yushi and the stabber, who Yushi just calls that girl, so I don't even know if she has a name or not. And there's still a puddle of blood in the stabbing room that Chiaki recognizes as his own somehow. He even sees the blood-encrusted slash wound on his shirt and just goes, "Huh, that's weird," and goes on with his life. I can't stress how much nothing happens to this girl. She even stays for the big assembly meeting at the end of it. Do you see what is happening here? She stabs a teacher and doesn't even go home afterwards, which honestly is pretty impressive. Do you know how weird that would be if you were the girl and you had a full memory of stabbing a teacher with a box cutter, being called out for it by a fellow student, and never getting punished? Then you come back to school and neither one of these guys does anything about it. It's like they're playing mind games with you. Nobody mentions it ever again. Christmas comes around, then New Year's, nothing. She's still there. I would be constantly waiting for the cops to show up, or at least for the principal to pull me aside and give me detention for improper use of art supplies, something. But eventually you would think everybody's cool with what I did. I guess I'll just go to trigonometry class now. I love everything about this situation and it's completely crazy. This channel just hit 1,000 subscribers, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone. I had to make this video because I had technical issues that ruined the footage of a Spirited Away video, because I've been wanting to talk about this scene for a long time, but I've got a much larger video coming out as my way of saying thanks in about 2 weeks. Let me know if you found anything crazier in a realistic setting than Elegant Yokai Apartment Life. It's going to be tough to top. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.